What's one of the biggest challenges of managing a fleet of trucks, tractor trailers, and material handling equipment? Hassling with maintenance, repair, and vehicle breakdown. Transervice's dedicated contract maintenance service, DCM, takes that hassle away. We maintain your fleet, no matter what the configuration, to the highest standards, while giving you the greatest cost control. We offer preventative maintenance executed to maximum utilization, equipment life, and necessary repairs, all tracked by a state-of-the-art paperless computerized system. Assistance with equipment engineering, configuration, including new engine technology, and onboard computers for your fleet, as well as dedicated fleet contract maintenance. Dedicated on-site service facilities staffed with management and certified maintenance technicians, inventories of parts, tires, and fluids, and all necessary shop equipment, diagnostic tools, and technology. Supporting services such as equipment inspections and assistance with meeting regulatory requirements, DOT, OSHA, EPA. Contact us today to learn about our turnkey contract maintenance solutions. It's all about the experience, yours and ours.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Vidane TV's coverage of the SIM500 Esports Racing League. Welcome to Richmond, Virginia, in Race 32 of the Transervice Cup season and Race 2 in the round of 16. Tim, this is a different racetrack from what we've run in the spring.
Yeah, absolutely, and it's different stakes in this one, too. There's 36 drivers that have entered the session, and some of them, 16, looking to better their playoff position. There are others that are looking to spoil the party and get up front and try to win this thing. You've got some drivers that are very familiar with Richmond. You got some drivers that are probably waiting until lap number 200 so they can say sayonara and put this thing in the rearview mirror. But see what happens here. Kevin King in the 29, David Comstock in the 13. Your front row going to lead these guys to green.
Yeah, King switching numbers from the familiar 88, moving back to the number 29 for tonight's event. And when we look at this championship, one driver going to go for kill tonight. It's Daniel Falkingham. He's already won round number 1. He's in the round of 12, and he's going to look to just see if he can have a good time tonight, cruising around here without as much worry. The drivers in a hurry, the 99 of Ryan. You also have Kelly, O'Rourke, and Coleman. All of them are right on the cut line. Coleman in a little more trouble than the rest of them. They're going to need to have a good night here to get themselves back in the hunt for the round of 12.
If they can win, that'll definitely put them in the opportunity to move on to that next round. But this racetrack can be very challenging for some of these drivers as we await the command to get these drivers rolled off and ready for this evening's racing action. Out of the top 5 that are going to start this thing, 4 of them are playoff eligible drivers. And obviously Pedro Mojica, we documented that last week. Kevin did not opt to take the playoff position because of prior commitments. Not sure what he was going to be able to do, so it gave Mike Kelly a spot in. So realistically, you include Pedro Mojica, 5 eligible drivers for the playoffs prior to the cutoff in the top 5 as the field begins to roll off.
Field rolls off behind the pace car. I've run this track a couple times this week, and it just feels strange to me. A lot of drivers reporting that the update has changed the look and feel of this racetrack, especially in the way that the car grips a racetrack. It just feels like the car is floating all over the place. It'll be interesting to see how these drivers work in traffic. And you know the deal here. This is one of those racetracks that you either get those long green flag stretches, or as a short track, 3/4 mile, you're piled on top of each other. We don't know which event we're going to get here, but we're getting ready to go green.
Get ready to see the green flag the next time by. 2 pace laps on these short tracks. And the drivers to really keep in mind tonight. Obviously, everybody in the playoffs has something to race for right now, but Chad Coleman, Tommy Ryan, Mike Kelly, EJ O'Rourke come in outside of the playoff cut line. Justin Fuller, 1 point to the good. David Comstock, Kevin Brown, 2 points to the good. Brian Macklin, Trey Edson, 7 points to the good. Josh Parker, 8. Kevin King, 9. And slim double digits for Jose Gonzalez, Josh Williams, Byron Daly, and Adam Gilliland. So one small misstep could knock you out of playoff contention. One big night could put you with Daniel Falkingham into the next round.
Yeah, a lot of discussion this week about who might be the top 4 going into the championship. Some speculation going on. I think back to the beginning of last week and Adam Gilliland getting sideways on the start and having to climb his way through. Is he going to have a better race here tonight? Is he going to get himself the win? He's going to start up front. Let's see if he can get a cleaner start as King kicks the green flag. We are underway here at Richmond.
Field will dive it down into corner number 1 for the first time this evening, and Kevin King will have command of this field at corner number 2. And we'll see what kind of race we do get here. As you talked off the top, Kevin, do we see some green flag racing? Do we see a couple of caution flags? Do we see the tempers overflow? So far, so good. Everything cordial through lap number 1 as Kevin King goes by to complete it.
King leads. He is single file with the train behind him. Everybody back to 6th, 7th, 8th. Tucked in here, you got Williams to the outside of Tyler Dalton. First contest back there for about that 7th position. Williams in the high line. Dalton trying to take it down on the bottom. Gets a little wiggle up off the corner. That's going to clear Williams and give him that position. Dalton now has the challenge from Josh Parker to the outside. Drives it in deep. Turn number 1 off of turn number 2 to the back straightaway. He's going to clear Tyler Dalton, take over that position. He tucks in behind the number 95.
And just up the road, Trey Edson's trying to make some moves to the outside. He's beside Pedro Mojica in the number 58 as they go at it for position number 4. Give it to the 5 as he continues to try to roll the top. And the 39 of Daniel Falkingham is going to say, okay, let's go. The outside, he goes side by side. Battle for second as they run down the back straightaway.
Still wheel to wheel coming through turns 3 and 4 to the, well, I don't know if we call it a straightaway. It's more like a D-shaped oval curve, and he's going to be able to clear him. Falkingham to second. Trey Edson trying to hold that momentum to the outside, see if he can get a good run off of turn number 2. He's going to be able to do it, take over that 3rd position. Comstock drops back to 4th.
And now it's single file for at least the moment for your top 5 or so as they continue to battle. Adam Gilliland, former winner here in the Pro Series at Richmond, sits about 7th place right now as he tries to track down Pedro Mojica and enter the top 5 in his number 81. So keep an eye on him as we go through the evening. Caution flag on the speedway for the first time this evening, though.
Drivers will collect behind Kevin King as he crosses the line to complete lap number 6, working lap number 7. Caution for the first time here tonight. Try and figure out what the cause. It was somewhere in the back, is my belief.
Yeah, we're going to take a look at the Kong Beer Bong instant replay. It actually looks like the 99 of Tom pardon me, the 99 of Tommy Ryan, easy enough for me to say, around and pointed in the wrong direction. And here you can see heading into the corners, gets into the back of the 3 car, has to check up just a little bit, gets a little bit of a shove-ski there from Chad Coleman, nowhere for the 38 car to go, and you can see the 99 pointed in the wrong direction. But the good news is, I'm all over the place with the English language here tonight. The good news, the 99 doesn't hit anything. No damage for Tommy Ryan, so he's going to be able to continue on through the race. Currently scored the last car on the lead lap in P35.
A couple drivers going to take the opportunity to head to pit road. Assume they'll bang out the fenders on a couple of them if they've made contact. I don't believe at this point, Tim, anybody's going to change any tires. It's a little too early, and they only have a limited number of sets coming into this race.
Yeah, only a limited number of sets in the pits. Usually SIM500, though, gives these drivers ample sets of tires for this one, and I believe 4 sets of tires total is probably ample for a racetrack like Richmond. So 1 set of tires that is on the car, 3 sets of tires that are in the pits. So we see Richard Beasley come off the pit road. He needs all the help he can get from where did he qualify tonight? Back in the field. We kid because we care, but Richard Beasley didn't have the best qualifying effort tonight. 29th place had to start with no qualifying time. So he's going to work his way up from the back of the field.
Yeah, might as well go in and get some service for that Tide ride, and he's going to rejoin the back of the pack. I got my eye on Jose Gonzalez, currently running in the 10th position. When we look at this championship, a lot of people not looking at him for that top 4 because he's not the most dynamic, winning every week driver, but consistency, the Goyacan tends to stay out of trouble. And I really believe that these drivers ought to be worried about that number 26 if he gets some good runs early in the chase here.
Just consistency in round number 1 is really what you need. And Jose Gonzalez came in and picked up some points last week, was able to move himself into 5th overall in the standings when it comes to the playoff grid. Only 10 points up. Needs a little bit of breathing room. He can do that here this evening. If he finishes where he's running right now, it would give him a little bit of breathing room to move up a little bit closer with 1 more race to go in this round. So keep your eye on that number 26 as we get doubled up.
So as expected, some of the drivers with some difficulties went to pit road. Beasley pitted, Ryan pitted, Charles Woods in the number 40, he pitted also, and so did Elliot Henderson in the number 37. Field gathered up behind the pace car, lights are out. We're going to look to go back to green here on lap number 11.
Pace car is in, and the 29 of Kevin King is the control car. Green flag flies, and we are back underway. Daniel Falkingham in the 39 to his outside, but keep your eye on Trey Edson. He moved on that last start of the race, moved up to 3rd from 5th, and now looks for position number 2. Tries to fend off David Comstock on the outside.
Side by side all the way through the pack, out of behind about that 5th position. Drivers running the high line. You can run side by side. You could even get 3 wide here sometimes. Drivers pick that low line of entry into the corner, hug that yellow line, or they can make a lot of speed around the outside lane. Both lanes viable here, and just a matter of how brave you are to drive it in. Comstock side by side with the 81 as they continue to do battle there for about the 4th position. You see Adam Gilliland on the charge, got a good run out of turn number 4. Now he's going to take over that position, and he'll be stalking the number 5 of Edson.
Adam is so smooth here, and I know he enjoys this racetrack more than pretty much any other racetrack that we have on the schedule. Moves to position number 4 and tries to track down those top 3 ahead of him. Josh Parker, close quarter race in the 23, is on the move. He moves to position number 5, and now in behind him, it's the 95 of Josh Williams trying to hold off the 13 of David Comstock. Comstock falling early in this one as Williams picks up 1 more.
Smooth plays big dividends at this racetrack. This is one of those Bill Murray moments. No. If you can get in the zone and just turn the car in, not grind that right front tire, just float the car down, wait till it takes a set, step on the gas and drive off, you'll be paid with a lot of different a lot of different strategies going on as we are under caution one more time. Incident involving the 3 and the 43 there on the front stretch. We'll go to the Kong Beer Bong replay one more time here, lap 15.
Yeah, and it's funny you mentioned that, Kevin. I actually watched Caddyshack for the very first time last night with the roommates and I were kind of hanging out just a little bit and made mention, I haven't seen that movie. What? Everybody turns the TV on, and that's what we sat down and watched. Very entertaining. Just like we're getting entertained here tonight with the Transervice Cup Series caution flag number 2. And we're going to take a little look-see here at the Kong Beer Bong instant replay. Keep an eye on that 43 car involved. You can see makes a little bit of contact there with the 19. They get kind of glued to the wall. The 3 of Ryan gets spun around trying to avoid it. The 22 and the 8 get a piece of the action as well. And then everybody in behind there kind of slows up just a little bit. They grab that brake pedal and make sure they don't get into harm's way. So a little bit of damage there for the 43 car. A couple of other cars playing bumper cars back here towards the mid-pack. So I think we're going to see probably half the field come down pit road here. But still an opportunity for these guys to get the cars repaired. And they're still in the lead lap. So that's good news.
At Augusta, he's on the final hole. He's about 455 yards away. He's going to hit about a 2-iron, I think. Well, he got a hold of that one. What a great movie. There's so many lines in that whole thing. Yeah, this is a race, isn't it? But I just couldn't resist. Byron Daly comes out after getting service. A couple of drivers, again, taking the opportunity. The top 5 have not changed. Everybody kind of cruising around. And as we said on the outset, Tim, this is one of those racetracks where it's feast or famine. Sometimes you'll have a 80-lap run and drivers will be screaming for a caution so they can get some tires. And other times it goes in fits and starts. Right now, a couple drivers taking advantage of pitting. See Doug Roth, Jeff Ryan, Gerald Livingston, Tyler Dalton, Nelson Rivera all ducking in. If you're on the back, I would assume, because sometimes you do get long green flag runs, that you're going to top off, see if that pays advantages later.
Absolutely. It gives you a little bit of an insurance policy, per se. If we do get that green flag run, and we know with these Transervice Cup Series drivers, we should anticipate a green flag run at some point in this event, as Kevin King continues to pace this field. Under caution, Daniel Falkingham, Trey Edson, Adam Gilliland, Josh Parker, your top 5. Parker, big mover so far, up 5 positions to position number 5. Jose Gonzalez up 4 from 11th to 7. And then a couple of drivers at the back of the field or in the middle portion of the field. I got some 5-position movers, some 6-position movers. I see Mike Kelly's up 6 positions up to 13th, or check that 5 positions to 13th. You've got Kevin Brown up 5 positions to 11. So not a whole lot of time so far, Kevin, to make those moves, but there are some drivers that have made a couple of changes closer to the front of the field.
You have to wonder if the drivers are kind of measuring up how their performance is going so far, or whether they've run enough laps to know anything about it. At about the 20-lap mark, which is where we're at, even though we've had a couple of cautions, you start to feel the tires wear out. You lose a little bit of grip. The car slips and slides on the throttle. They have to be really careful here on these restarts. You can buzz the tires and turn sideways. As we see the 5 go sideways, just as we called it, green flag out.
And 4 wide almost down into corner number 1, and that's not going to work. Jose Gonzalez sideways. He's going to save it, and we are going to stay green.
Yeah, that's a severe thunderstorm warning coming through here as we're just about to get pummeled in central New Jersey. But up front, King continues to hold off his nemesis, Daniel Falkingham, and Adam Gilliland in the number 81, tucked right to the bumper. You could throw a blanket over all 3. A lot of people, when you asked who were going to be the top 4, these 3 names were in there. The other name in the mix, Trey Edson. A lot of drivers think that Trey's got what it takes to get to the championship.
Absolutely, he does. And it's just a matter of trying to pace yourself and quietly get back to an opportunity for Trey to win this championship one more time after winning it in 2020. But plenty of laps to go here, plenty of laps to go in this season. But Trey right now running in position number 5 puts himself in a decent position to try to lock himself into what would be a championship run, or at least into the next round of this championship. But for the most part, your top 5, top 6 or so, single file and kind of biding their time.
focus quite a bit up on the front of the field. Let's go a little bit deeper and see what's going on. Kevin DeBrown right there underneath Macklin in the number 30, about that 10th place. They're contesting for that. Brown was alongside of him just about a lap ago. Macklin able to use that outside momentum. And here comes the 51 of Justin Fuller. Fuller has been running strong through the summer season, coming into fall. Good time to peak. And he looks like he's a little racy here as we are running lap number 24.
Yeah, it continues to be side by side with the 51 of Justin Fuller, the 30 of Brian Macklin. There's two drivers that have had an up and down season as of late. Brian Macklin mostly, and I don't want to dwell on the negative, Kevin, but has been down. There's been some drivers, there's been some incidents that he hasn't been able to get by, and it ended up on the personal flat deck, and now he battles with Kevin Brown. So we'll see what the 30 car can salvage here. Needs a good run to keep himself on the good side of the playoff cut line.
I know, Tim, that you're a fan of paint schemes and you tend to appreciate a really nice paint scheme. Looking at two of the nicest looking cars in the field running in the 14th position, the 12 of Scott Simley. Right behind him is the 9 of Bobby Wetzel. Both really sharp looking cars. New paint scheme for the 12 this week, and that thing is really trick looking.
Absolutely. That's a sharp-looking paint scheme, not too busy at all, and still gets the job done. And obviously, Bobby Wetzel, every time he comes to the racetrack, brings a good Raging Cajun number 9, and doing a good job right now within the top 15. Tommy Ryan in behind him in the 99, trying to rebound from earlier this evening, and doing a great job as he continues to push his way forward.
King hugs that yellow line, just continues to set the pace. Falkingham has not put any pressure on him, staying half car length to car length behind him. You see Adam Gilliland has made his charge to the 3rd position. Almost looked like he was signaling Falkingham that he was going to make a move. Peaked low on the entry to turn 3, or maybe just running a different line right now, but the car on the move so far, up 6 positions from his starting position, is the 81 of Adam Gilliland.
Yeah, there's a few drivers that are on the move right now, but you look at Adam Gilliland sitting up there in position number 3. Single file racing through right about your top 10 or so. A couple of drivers trying to pick and choose, but I think the 95, last couple of laps, Josh Williams has made his way up to position number 4, kind of flirting with the inside of Adam Gilliland. Obviously, those two drivers are in contact. They know what each other is going to do, so I don't think it's anything of a pressing issue right now, Kevin, but I've been seeing that 95 kind of poke the nose a couple of times to the inside of the other personal comfort car in front of him.
Yes, sometimes when you enter the corner, you don't want to be late on the brakes. You just let the car roll in, get right close to him. You can feel the sense of how close to the car and let it roll in. And you're just carrying that momentum. It also helps when you pick up the throttle through the center of the corner. If you're that much closer, just don't make any contact. Knock them sideways, because if they're sideways in front of you and you have to check up, the guy behind you can run over you. So, running this tight requires quite a bit of acumen, and these drivers do it the best here at SIM500.
And look at that nice pan shot there at turn number 4. There's a lot of drivers that have found their rhythm right now, and I don't want to jinx it. We talked about it, possibly this race going green for a few laps and getting that green flag look and green flag feel to it, at least in the top 20 or so. By the looks of the wide shots we've been getting, it looks like these drivers have found that mentality and found that place to really get in a groove as Kevin King continues to lead this train around. We'll complete 34 laps this time by.
Yeah, it looks like your conveyor belt right now. Doy Woods pulled up high, not going to contest the 33 of Byron Daly. Back there for the 19th position. That was the first contest for any challenges right now. And, this has that look of one of those long green flag runs, and I think everybody knows it. When they see the track formation like this, they realize they got to take care of their stuff.
Great onboard shot there from Doy Woods as Joey Gattina goes by on the inside, and a couple of close little battles outside the top 10 as they continue to run. Looks like Scott Stenzel to the outside of Richard Beasley as they do a little bit of battling back there. So we keep talking about these guys up in front have found their place to race and kind of found their rhythm. These guys back here, as you can see on the side of Doy Woods' car, he's got a little bit of damage. to that 07. So he might be they might be doing a little more racing than we think back here.
Yeah, a couple of these guys ran into trouble earlier. The three of Jeff Ryan's missing the TV panel off the back. The spoiler looks a little out of whack. So does the back of the 43 car from that incident earlier. It's all crinkled. The Camaro is wrinkled left, wrinkled right. The quarter panels are out, and he's just kind of pacing himself back there in 32nd. I was looking at the 93 of Kevin DeBrown, just kind of pacing himself. Now, I'm sure if anybody's in their headspace about what's going on from a championship standpoint, Kevin, first one above the line, is trying to follow where Tommy Ryan is, where Mike Kelly is, where O'Rourke is, solidly sitting right now in the 10th position, and just does not want to give up any track position. He knows his mission. He's got to beat all of those cars.
Yeah, there's that different mindset and that different strategy going in, but at the end of the day, if you control your own destiny, do what you have to do, those points are going to fall the way they are, and then you don't have to worry about who's going on in front of you, behind you, who's racing where. But if you're a guy like Kevin Brown, you look in the front, you see the yellow spoilers, and you see those yellow windshield banners in the rearview mirror, and I'm sure you're kind of thinking about that as you roll through, as Kelly goes to the inside of E.J. O'Rourke for position number 11. But I'm sure that's in some of these drivers' minds. But the other one, trying to control your own destiny and do what you have to do, I think is going to play out too.
Buckingham runs a little line higher in turns 1 and 2. I thought Adam Gilliland was going to take a peek, but he didn't, settled right in there. Let's talk about the number change for Kevin King to number 29. Talk about the history of that number and Kevin.
Oh, he's had that number since he started sim racing. Kevin King in 29, and it's the identity behind a number and your personality and everything else. And when he started racing here this season, the 29 number was taken. That driver hasn't been active recently, so that gives the opportunity for Kevin to move in to that 29 number. Taking the 88 earlier in the season, he's had some good luck with it, obviously. Talent is not defined by the number that is on the side of the race car, but it's comfort. It's an identity, and we know Kevin is the 29. I think I called him 29 at the very start of the season a couple of times when he started racing SIM500. But now he's leading the field once again, 29 on the side of the race car, and everything seems to be right with the world.
Yep, fits like a glove as we see a challenge for that number 10th position. E.J. O'Rourke down underneath. We drove that car in hard over there in turn number 1. It's going to cost him a little out of turn number 2. He's challenging Kevin DeBrown for that position. Now he comes back inside of him, given the fact that Brown is stuck on the outside lane, but he's got so much momentum out of turn number 4 that he's going to hold that position. O'Rourke still looks like he's going to be tight to that back bumper, looking to see if he can take that opportunity to sneak up there into the top 10 for the first time tonight. And look right behind him. That little tussle brings Pedro Mojica right in. Pedro, he'll have a good race tonight. He's another good driver that's smooth on the long road.
Yeah, absolutely. Pedro doesn't get a whole lot of practice, obviously busy with his real life, but once he's here, he gets into the car, he gets a couple of laps in, he gets comfortable with what's going on, and I think he's going to be up there when the checker flag does fall, albeit we still have plenty of laps to go, just over 150 laps remaining here in the Transervice Cup Series race at Richmond. But Pedro right now in 12th, letting this race kind of play out in front of him, and plenty of time to get it done.
Biggest mover in the top 10 is Justin Fuller with 10 positions gained, 12 positions, correction. Kind of riding there in the 7th position. He's got a little space in front of him, a little space behind him. That tends to be a very comfortable place to race in these long runs because you dictate how hard you run into the corner, how you want to run through the center, whether you want to drive the car hard off. And if you want to slow down a little more, back up the corner with a car not behind you, that's okay. If you want to run it in a little harder, that's okay too. I like when you get these long green flag runs, watching how the drivers attack the racetrack.
And some of them attack it a little bit more aggressive than others, and we start to see that as it unfolds over a longer green flag run. As the 5 of Trey Edson, we kind of caught it in the corner of our eye, went a little bit wide the last time by, trying something different. Here's the 23 of Josh Parker battling with the 30 Brian Macklin as they go side by side in position number 8 with Kevin Brown in there as well. 3 playoff drivers with one more behind them, and check that EJ O'Rourke, and putting on a show here, just passing the quarter distance mark in this 200 lap race.
Little damage on the back of the number 5 for Edson. Not sure when that happened, somewhere around lap 25 or so, I'm guessing. Not sure who got into the back of him there, but I don't believe that's going to hurt the car aerodynamically that much.
Yeah, probably not as much here at Richmond, but I'm still sure a little bit of a hindrance for the 5, and they'll try to maybe iron that out on the first pit stop of the evening for that number 5 team. But still sitting in position number 5, putting himself in a good position for this long run that we have currently shaping up, and Trey has decided to go to that outside line, starting to feel that out on the second group.
Yeah, able to trace that back to lap 19 restart. You got the little sideways, as we called when we were riding with the 81, and the 23 of Josh Parker tagged him. And when he spun the tires, he just got popped in the back, just ever so slightly. And to your point, hopefully when he's able to take that car in for service, is still competitive pace right now, he'll be able to bang that back out a little bit and get him sorted out.
No harm, no foul per se. And I'm sure there's not a whole lot of damage time-wise to that race car either. So we'll see what shakes out on the first pit stop, whenever that may be this evening, as Kevin Brown takes a little peek to the inside of the 23 car of Josh Parker. Sees the Bud Light Interstate number 23 move up the racetrack a little bit, gives him a little bit of racing room, and Kevin Brown will look to the inside to try to pick up one more spot, and EJ O'Rourke behind and trying to make something happen there. And as they battle, Brian Macklin begins to inch away with position number 8.
I noticed the 5 of Trey Edson like you did before. I think he was testing something, and now he's trying that line. Every lap he's up in that third lane. You can run that at this racetrack and make speed. I was trying that the other night and realized it's better in turn 1 and 2. Sometimes it's not as fast in turn 3 and 4, but Edson has moved up into that second called third groove right below the white dashes, and he's making some pretty good time. He's not losing anything to David Comstock, who's running behind him. Some laps he's right down on the yellow line over there in 3 and 4, but certainly he's trying something new. And what I think that's going to aid in, Tim, is not wearing and heating up that right side tire set as you go into corners. This time he's going to run down in conventional groove.
Trying something different, just trying to make up a little bit of ground, or maybe as the car goes away, the handle goes away a little bit on this race car, maybe try something just a little bit different to try to reel those guys in behind, and maybe pull away from those guys in behind the number 5 of Trey Edson. And we saw earlier, about 20 laps earlier in this run, that those top 5, top 8 or so were really nose to tail and putting on a show, and now we're starting to see a little bit of separation as this run goes on, except for this little pack right here that we're watching. Guys like Mike Kelly battling with the 99 of Tommy Ryan. Middle of the pack, EJ O'Rourke has just been passed by Pedro Mojica. Mojica decides it's time to go and looks at that battle in front of him. These guys around this pack are starting to get a little bit busy.
Yeah, Tommy Ryan on the march. He's up 13 positions from his starting position. And got to go back to the 5. There was a lap where he ran down the bottom, and coming off on throttle, the car stepped out on turn number 2, and he lost a little gap. The next time he went smooth all the way around turns 1 and 2 to the outside, and I see more and more he's using that. You can pick up the gas through the middle and drive straight off and not put a lot of wear on the tires, and also you're able to wind it up a little differently. In contrast to 13 of David Comstock, last time out of turn number 2, of course, stepped out a little bit. That little tweak really wears the right rear tire here at Richmond with this tire model. And I see Trey Edson trying something a little bit different than all the other competitors here.
Yeah, he's been stepping out to that outside line, and now in that second groove, compared to the 95 in front of him at Josh Williams, but he's been losing touch the last couple laps with the 95 of Williams in front of him, and David Comstock really hasn't been able to lick the bones and pick up any positions. Justin Fuller, I think, is going to try to get by David Comstock here sooner rather than later, as Comstock, I think, is in a vulnerable position right now because he's trying to chase Trey Edson Justin Fuller's trying to reel him in, and I think Fuller's doing a better job reeling the car in front of him in than the 13 is reeling the 5 of Trey Edson in for 5th.
Yeah, monkey see, monkey do. The 51 up now in that high line. We saw the 93 up in the high line. They're seeing what the 5 is doing up in front of them. Everybody else still right down as bottom feeders, but you got to search around and find out where this racetrack wants your car to drive. And I found over in 3 and 4, the car doesn't step out. Some of these drivers will arc it down and get down to the apron, actually touch the apron to loosen the car up, and it helps it come up off the corner. It's all in your driving style, I guess, and how you find out. But I don't know, this track tends to be a little tricky sometimes.
Mike Kelly is around, and that's the caution flag that some of these drivers, I'm sure, have been hoping for. Mike Kelly getting involved in that little pack pawl that we talked about, it potentially having something explode. And we'll cue up the Kong Beer Bong instant replay to this. Is that the 99 for a second time tonight?
Indeed, it is. 99 a little bit involved here. Doesn't look like he had a place to go here, but you can take a peek here. These drivers trying things out here longer into the run. The 41 goes up high, the 2 goes down low, and looks like as the 41 comes down, just a little bit of a touch on the front end of that 2 car, sends him on around, gets a little bit of help from behind. And again, just like the previous caution, no big-time damage. You can see Kelly does a great job of trying to stay out of the way of everybody else, trying to part the seas here at this point, but gets out of the racing groove, doesn't hit anything, going to probably come down pit road here just like everybody else is. We're going to try and jump right back to this live shot because everybody's down there on pit road, boys.
Kevin King led the parade in. 4 tires and fuel for everybody. You have to know that everyone's going to change all the tires. Every single car in the pack going to come in. And we see these drivers getting their service and down and out. Good pit stop by Kevin Brown. He was charging in its neck-and-neck battle with the 30 of Macklin. I think Macklin got him at the line, but that was a dead heat through. Every single driver, 4 tires and fuel here, has feeding time at the zoo. You had to expect that these drivers love this. Tim, they're going to love 4 fresh tires.
And you saw it at the end of pit road. Daniel Falkingham able to sprint out to the lead in the 39, able to beat Kevin King, and now he'll have that clean air. He'll be able to pace this field up in front, and we'll see how big of an advantage that is for Daniel Falkingham in the 39. Adam Gilliland up a few spots, Josh Williams, Trey Edson, Dave Comstock. Among your top 6 off pit road, Fuller, Macklin, Kevin Brown, Pedro Mojica. Looks like going to be your top 10 coming off of pit road. So some drivers on the move. Some drivers have some work to do after that round of pit stops, but still plenty of laps to get it done, about a third or so of the way through this race.
Pretty sure every single driver, as I look at the scoring pylon, did go in and get service. Let me just confirm that. Yeah, the Tyler Dalton, number 19, is in there getting some service, trying to get that car fixed. The 43 is in there getting his service. Randy Yoakum in. Jeff Hollingsworth in the 97, first car 1 lap down, and Yoakum and Nelson Rivera, I think, are multiple laps down. It looks like we're going to have about 33 cars in the contest here as we go back to green. We're going to pull in the leader, Daniel Falkingham, and see if he has a moment to talk to us. Daniel, Tim, and Kevin from the booth, can you hear us?
Yeah, I got you.
Tell us, how's the racetrack out there tonight?
It's definitely, car feels really tight, but I feel like it's loosening it up on the long run as the right rear wears out. Right now, everyone's just rolling bottom, I think, to conserve tires, but that outside lane is an option when you're in traffic, but there's no sense to use it right now to kill your tires up front. So, track, I feel like it's pretty racy, but I think it's just going to be so hard to pass, like when we get to the end of this race and everyone's fighting for every position. So, I feel like we got a pretty racy track, just really hard to pass.
Wave around car just cleared, and that puts you in P1. You've got Kevin King to your outside. How about that pit stop your crew got you through?
Best pit crew on pit road, plain and simple.
All right, we're going to let you go back to business. Thanks for talking to us, and keep it straight.
All right, thank you, Kevin.
"69 laps in the books. Daniel Falkingham leads Kevin King. Josh Williams, Trey Edson, and David Comstock are your top 5. Green flag is out, and to your point, I think he's going to really enjoy this fresh air. He talks about that quite a bit, Tim. He really thinks that aero makes a big advantage and loves to be out front.
Yeah, and you looked in the inside, Adam Gilliland going to have that opportunity to try to pounce on Kevin King. First time Kevin's been in that dirty air all night long, goes up the racetrack, enter Adam Gilliland at least for a half fender or so to the inside. And now the important thing here is, I believe, we saw it on the second run, these guys giving each other some room, a little bit of patience and a little bit of respect. And we'll see how far this goes on this green flag run as the field rolls down the back straightaway into corner number 371, completed this time by, and Kevin King able to maintain second for the time being over Adam Gilliland and Josh Williams. And we saw the battle there between I think it was the 13 of David Comstock and the 93 of Kevin Brown, having a little bit of a moment, and Brown being shoved up into the fence, getting a little bit of that Richmond Raceway safer barrier, and they lost a couple of positions through that momentum, and now we see them battling on the outside, or at least David Comstock still on the outside of this battle as he's got Pedro Mojica to deal with on the inside, and Tommy Ryan working his way back up through the pack and now into the top 10 with Kevin Brown behind him. There's the caution flag once again, fourth caution of the evening. We'll slow them on down and we'll see what brought out that yellow flag with the Kong Beer Bong instant replay. And it looks like it might have happened again at the back of the field with these drivers trying to sort everything out. The front half of the field seems to have it, at least on these restarts and these starts, figured out. But the back half of the field finding each other, and it makes sense, Paul, because these guys at the back of the pack are on top of each other. Here's the Kong Beer Bong instant replay. What happened?
Yeah, we'll take a peek at it. We're going to look at Gerald Livingston here, the number 96 car, having a little fun with his friends back here, racing for position, gets into the Ryan machine of the number 3, kind of goes down, tears the lawn up just a little bit. Little bit of a jump ski there, four wheels off the ground, sticks the landing, continues on going in the right direction. So good news there. Again, a couple of cars involved in it, a little bit of bumper car action, but again, a little bent up virtual sheet metal, nothing too crazy, no big damage for any of these drivers. Oh, a little bit of a close encounter there with the 96 and the 3 again. Just let them know he's there. Not too thrilled with that, but going to come down pit road, probably got some tires and maybe tug on that virtual sheet metal just a bit to get that thing back up to snuff.
So we expect the field here, Paul, to stay out, at least those drivers that are up in front, with a recent caution flag and the pit stops that happened under the most recent yellow flag of this Transervice Cup Series race. Daniel Falkingham continues to lead. Kevin King, Adam Gilliland, Josh Williams, Trey Edson, your top 5. And we looked last week at those drivers that are in the playoff contention and where they are running. You look back to E.J. O'Rourke in position number 12. Your top 12, except for Pedro Mojica, are playoff contenders. And Pedro was in a playoff contender position prior to and having to opt out of the playoffs. So top 12 looking pretty sporty right now, and it's going to be hard to get some separation from these drivers if you're sitting up there and on the cusp of the cut line one side or the other. So if I'm a guy like E.J. O'Rourke, I'm literally at the end of the line when it comes to the playoff battle right now. I need to move up. I need to get some positions here, but need to get a rhythm, I think, too, Paul.
Yeah, one of the things he could really do is almost hook a toe chain up to that 99 of Tommy Ryan. He's up 17 positions here on the night. Actually, just getting a text message from Kevin England. Power went out. Storm knocked the power out, so you guys are stuck with me up here in the booth for the second half of this race. But Tommy Ryan doing a great job here tonight. Doesn't have that yellow playoff banner on the top of the windshield or on the spoiler of that car, so he's out to spoil the fun for some of these championship playoff contenders. He wants to come out, win as many races as he can, and well, he's about halfway there at this point, just in the top 10, running in the 10th spot currently. Qualified 27th, so definitely a good run here at Richmond for Tommy Ryan, trying to make his way up towards the front.
I want to correct you. The painter should probably be fired because he's 14th in the point standings when it comes to the playoffs. So somebody forgot to put the virtual windshield banner and put the yellow spoiler on the back of that car before it hit the racetrack. Enters 6 points back of the playoff cut line. So this will definitely help him. And we saw him earlier in the season, I believe at Dover, running really, really well, picked up that victory. And he likes these shorter racetracks. We're used to seeing him up in front here and most of those super speedways that we run. The intermediates aren't necessarily his cup of tea, Paul, but right now sitting in the top 10, looking to better his position and put himself a little further in the playoffs. And well, when you look at the cut line right now, he's one of those four that's on the outside looking in, coming into this evening. Chad Coleman is 1 point out. He runs in 16th place. Mike Kelly had his issues a little bit earlier on. Mike Kelly runs back in position number 23. And E.J. O'Rourke just runs a couple of spots shy of Tommy Ryan. So Tommy Ryan has a huge opportunity here. If he can finish where he is, to put himself with a little bit of insurance potentially heading into round number 2 of the playoffs.
Yeah, and speaking of Mike Kelly, a couple of races as we get ready to take the green. There goes the pace car down pit road. He's 7 races into the season. He was 30th in points. Battled his way up to a potential chase berth with 2 races to go. Just barely missed it, but then with a driver dropping out of the playoffs, he did in fact make his way in. So definitely an awesome run throughout the season for that number 2 car, and trying to make something happen, trying to make the magic happen here at Richmond.
I know it's early. I know we got at least one more pit stop to come here this evening, but if I'm Adam Gilliland, I want to get by Kevin King and get in position number 2 to potentially make something happen on a restart with Daniel Falkingham. But now he is in under fire, the 95 at Josh Williams up to the outside of the 5 at Trey Edson, and tried to roll the top on the number 81, but could not get there as we run down the back straightaway, top 8 or so, single file, as we complete lap number 81.
And we talked to Falkingham there under caution. He made mention that he definitely used the high side. The 5 at Trey Edson used that high line a lot. Thinking up here in the booth that he was maybe saving tires. It's a little bit quicker up on that high side, but it burns up the tires a little bit quicker than down on the bottom side. So as we get longer into this run and closer to the end of this race, definitely going to be seeing these drivers try different lines, different areas on the racetrack to move themselves up towards the front.
Absolutely. Try to do what the other competitors are, and if it works for you, gets you to the front of the field, it's obviously a bonus. As the 81 of Adam Gilliland right in front of the 95 of Josh Williams as you ride on board with the 95, the 81 of Gilliland. Look to the inside of Kevin King that time, but that's about all it was at a corner number 3, and comes through 84 laps being worked on the board, getting closer to the halfway point in this Transervice Cup Series playoff race at Richmond. And the clean air obviously works. Paul, Daniel Falkingham has about a 3/10 of a second lead.
Yeah, one of the great things about this racetrack, and we saw Kevin King for the first about 75 laps or so really hold on to that lead with that clean air. You can see he's running just a little bit lower. We saw Falkingham do that earlier on in the race as well, trying to get some of the clean air on that nose to try and maybe close up just a little bit, get a little side-by-side action up there for that lead. But right now, just in the tire tracks of the number 39, doing his homework, trying to figure out where he can get around that 39 car, or if he's going to have to do it down on pit road. We heard Falkingham made mention earlier, fastest pit crew down there on pit road, they're wearing 39 jerseys.
Yeah, so far so good for that 39 of Daniel Falkingham, and has been able to extend the lead just a little bit over Kevin King, give him a little bit of breathing room back to the 29, and essentially the rest of this field as they run single file back to about the 10th place position or so. I believe that might be Tommy Ryan back there under fire. That's Kevin Brown and Tommy Ryan battling for position number 9. The top 8 are single file. There's David Comstock battling with Joey Gattina. There's a great effort tonight by the 14 team. We haven't really spoke a whole lot about Joey Gattina, but working his way up a little bit closer towards the front of the field, knocking on the door of what could be a top 10 run sitting in 15th.
And right in behind him, you see the 38 car of Chad Coleman came in way off the championship points. Well, not way off, but came in, scored in the 16th position. Needs a good points night tonight. Needs to try and get a win here tonight or next week to move himself into the next round of the playoffs. A great drive over the past couple of races for that 38 team. Chad Coleman now down up below Joey Gattina in the 14 car side by side, working lap number 89, almost at halfway here.
Mentioned earlier that 11 of the top 12 top 12 drivers were playoff contenders, Kevin. And if you're that Chad Coleman machine, you've really got to work your way up. And it's got the 26 of Jose Gonzalez in behind him. So 2 playoff contenders trying to work their way closer to the top 10.
Yeah, Chad's got to run as hard as he can. And he cannot get a mediocre finish here tonight and expect to go through. He's got to beat the rest of the drivers he's competing with. And this stage of the race when we're getting to halfway, he's going to have to get in and get that car going.
He's got the 26 of Jose Gonzalez down to the inside, and Gonzalez going to make up one position and try to get himself a little bit closer to where he was earlier prior to that little slide in the middle of that green flag run as you're right on board with the Goya number 26, and looks up to that number 12 ahead of him of Simley, and trying to pick up a little bit more time. 91 laps completed here at Richmond as Daniel, we got one around behind them, and that will bring out the yellow flag, and Mike Montesi gets hit again. The 3 of Jeff Ryan involved, Tyler Dalton involved in this one. About a half dozen cars getting swept up in this 5th caution of the evening, just shy of the halfway point in this Transervice Cup Series race at Richmond. Paul, what brought out this caution of the Kong Beer Bong instant replay?
Mike Montesi in the 45 car. We're going to pull up the Kong Beer Bong instant replay. And the 45 car trying to be the life of the party. Probably would have been better off getting one of those Kong Beer Bongs. But here you can see focus in that kick-ass beef jerky, number 45, right in behind it. Richard Beasley gets a little bit of a push from the 2 of Mike Kelly. He almost has it saved, spins around, and as everybody in behind him tries to avoid calamity. 96, big contact there with the 45. You see Doug Roth involved, the 19, the 40, the 3 of Ryan. Half a dozen, 8 cars or so involved, and still a little bit of calamity trying to get the track cleared up. Looks like the 96 under power. There he goes, gets that thing started back up and running again. And there you see the leaders coming up on the screen. So very, very close to losing a lap for the drivers involved here. But they get everything rolling here, and it's going to be a few minutes on pit road for a lot of these drivers. There you see that TV panel in the 45 car is gone, and it looks like he might have a little bit of steering issues with that, getting close up to the wall there. But going to take a moment. Half the field looking like coming down pit road, and we'll see what these pit stops hold out.
Quite a few big hits for a lot of drivers. There's the field assembles behind the pace car. We know that everybody's going to go to pit road this time.
Yeah, we'll see what transpires here with some of these drivers at the front of the field. A lot of these drivers that you're seeing now on your screen about the middle of the pack on pack, and those drivers that were involved in the most recent yellow flag getting some service to their race cars. Daniel Falkingham, Kevin King, Adam Gill, and the likes stay out ahead of this field. And those drivers that are on pit road got to get to stepping because they're about to fall one lap down to this number 39 car and the rest of the pack.
Yeah, I suspect that a lot of these drivers are looking up at that scored pylon and realizing we're at halfway. Trying and figure out what they need to do in the second. They have to race so far, and they're going to get themselves the best finish or come away with the win.
So 5 laps shy, the halfway point in this Transervice Cup Series race at Richmond, and looking down that list of drivers that we said earlier, the playoff drivers, and it's actually expanded by 1. You get 12 drivers in the top 13. You want to go back to the top 15 drivers, there are 13 of our playoff contenders in the top 15 when it comes to the standings, just a few laps shy of the halfway point back to Jose Gonzalez in that 15th place position. The only drivers that aren't in playoff contention in the top 15 right now, Joey Gatina and Pedro Mojica, currently in position number 7. So they're in some good company with the rest of this field. As Falkingham continues to lead this one under caution, will be a lap and a half, and then we'll be back to green flag competition.
Yeah, so Tim, I mentioned here in New Jersey, storms are passing over. We're without power. I switched to my phone, and I know connection isn't too good here, so I'm going to bow out and let you and Paul make the call. Kills me to do it because I'm enjoying the race, but I'll come back and watch what happened after the fact, and if the power comes back on, I'll jump back in, but I think I'm done for the night.
Well, there you go, Paul. We're going to let Kevin deal with all the storms, and let Showtime, let Showtime back into the booth, and Paul halfway through. See if Falkingham can take this one. Kevin King might be having a little bit of the storms in San Diego.
Very well may be the case, and I got to tell you, it's always good working with Kevin England, because if he's getting storms, that usually means they're going to come here to Connecticut within the next couple of hours. So hopefully we can get this race in before those storms show up here. But there goes the pace car, going to jump down to the safety of pit road one more time. Fantastic restart for the number 39 of Daniel Falkingham, one of the best in the business on the starts. And you can see now side-by-side battle for second place, Kevin King, Adam Gilliland, 2 and 3.
Adam's been trying to take it away from Kevin on the last couple of restarts, but has been unsuccessful, and he might be unsuccessful this time as well, as Kevin King drove it in deep into corner number 3. Adam's still keeping to his door, but that's all it is. King gets the run off of corner number 4 and will maintain position number 2. The 5, a Trey Edson, now having to hold off Justin Fuller. Fuller has been consistent at getting some of those drivers, picking them off on the restarts, and now trying to get a little bit closer to the top 5 as he battles with Trey Edson for that 5th place position as they work around corners number 3 and 4. They'll come by this time and have 99 laps completed, so 1 lap shy of the official halfway point in this one. And it looks like Daniel Falkingham has the field under control coming to halfway.
Really got to keep an eye on that 95 car. Josh Williams has been fast all night long, but up in the top 10, top 5, and you can see side-by-side battling right now with Trey Edson in that 5 car for the 4th position. Very, very fast race car on that 95, and he's racing very conservatively, it looks like. We've seen him all night long. He'll get right up to the back bumper of somebody and kind of brake a little bit early just to not press the issue, let everybody know that he's there. Definitely going to be a contender to win this race, currently running P4.
Definitely some time to get towards the front of this field, but 1 car away up in the wall off of corner number 4. We stay green. Not sure who that was, but somebody visiting the outside wall, and it might have been we got the 99 of Tommy Ryan 3 wide with Kelly and Comstock. So wherever it happened, it looks like the sense of urgency now is in the middle of the pack as we are just past the halfway point in this Transervice Cup Series event.
Business definitely picking up here at Richmond. Mike Kelly in the number 2 car trying to make something happen, trying to get up around these cars on the outside, but gets hung back just a little bit, riding on aboard here with Tommy Ryan, the 99 car, up 14 spots here on the night. A little side-by-side action with Brian Macklin back in here for just outside the top 10, currently running 12.
And Tommy Ryan has gone to that second groove, and obviously if he's forced to the outside, he may as well try something a little bit different to try to pick up momentum and try to pick up maybe a spot or 2 as we continue to roll on under the green flag. Brian Macklin back here, as you mentioned, in this pack, losing maybe a position or 2 here as the 38 of Chad Coleman also battling within this pack. Scott Stenzel in the 63, the Goya can, the Jose Gonzalez entry. And haven't spoken a whole lot about Byron Daly, but Daly has cracked the top 10. The 33 car sits in position number 10 with those guys behind him battling for position.
Little 3 wide action there just briefly, with Josh Parker going down on the inside, picking up a couple of spots from the 12 and the 14. One thing to keep in mind here, Tim, Josh Parker came down pit road the last caution for 4 fresh tires. He's got fresher tires than the drivers up in front of him, and I think we might see that as the run goes on. When you think conservative race car drivers, you don't really think of Josh Parker. He is all go all the time, and he definitely is trying to utilize those fresh tires. You can see he's going to pick up a couple of more spots, getting around Mike Kelly, and now sets his sights on Brian Macklin in that 30 car. And that's going to be for the 16th position.
So I guess my question is, if that's the case, does that mean Parker only has 1 extra set of tires sitting in the pits compared to these other guys? It puts him maybe a little bit at a disadvantage if that is the case. But if these guys all come down pit road around the same time as Jose Gonzalez, got a little sideways ahead of these guys as he battles with Byron Daly, and it looks like the 97, who is the 97, maybe a lap down or just barely inside the top 10. That's Jeff Hollingsworth, and he's actually moving up position. So Jeff Hollingsworth, haven't spoken about him all night long, but the 97's knocking on the door for a top 10 run.
Yeah, a little bit of a part-time schedule here for the 97 of Hollingsworth. Haven't mentioned his name here all night long, but qualified back outside the top 20, currently right outside the top 10, holding on to the 12th position, trying to get around Kevin Brown there up in front of him, and you can see he's got Scott Stenzel up in the personal comfort number 63 ride as well, side by side down below Kevin Brown, trying to make it stick on the bottom side. Looks like he's going to get him that time and set his sights on that 10th spot.
Still plenty of laps to get it done, but the 97 definitely on the move and making a statement here in the middle portion of this Transervice Cup Series playoff race. Scott Stenzel right ahead of them as well, battling for a position, and he is beginning to move up. So we're starting to see some drivers here in the middle portion move out of the top 30 bracket and move into the top 20 bracket as, attrition wears on a little bit. You see some drivers getting some damage to these race cars and drivers just falling off on the longer run and drivers on those different tire strategies as Hollingsworth looks to the inside of E.J. O'Rourke. He battles with Scott Stenzel as well, so 2 personal comfort cars here battling just inside the top 10.
Yep, the 97 car moves himself into the 9th spot. Again, follows Scott Stenzel up 1 spot. Chad Coleman up into the top 10 as well. He's running in the 7th position. So trying to pick up positions as we get further and further on into this race here at Richmond. And these drivers know we're in the second half of the race. We're less than 90 laps to go, 88 laps to go, if my math serves me correctly. And you can see Daniel Falkingham still out front of Kevin King. He's got the fresh air on the nose of that race car, and it's really making it work for him. And there you see Chad Coleman making a move down underneath Justin Fuller in the 51 Ford. So Chad Coleman looking pretty racy here in the second half.
Consistently picking off drivers. That tap out tuning number 38 doing a great job. I know Sharpie's probably watching and on the edge of his seat watching this battle with Chad Coleman trying to get by the personal comfort number 51 of Justin Fuller. Trey Edson's been up in the top 5 all night long, and now he might be under fire from losing that position as Chad Coleman digs to the inside. He's to the left rear quarter of the 5. You ride on board with the tap-out tuning number 38 as Chad Coleman drives it into the top 5.
And you can hear him coming out of turn 2 on that throttle very, very lightly, trying to make sure that he doesn't spin the tires in the back end, lose the back end of that race car. Nice and smooth for that number 38, still side by side for that 5th position, trying to get up and around the 5 car, and in fact he does that time by. He's got enough to get there. The 5 going to try and make a run on the outside, but he has to look on the inside as well because Justin Fuller trying to follow the 38 on through.
And there goes the 38 to the inside of the 95 of Josh Williams, the 5 of Trey Edson, the 51 of Justin Fuller. They're all lining up behind that number 38 to try to make something happen. Battle for 4th, side by side as we work lap number 116 of this Transervice Cup Series playoff race at Richmond. In the 95 will surrender the spot to Chad Coleman, and now Coleman will try to gain on those top 3.
And really picking up the positions and putting them down. It seems like that 38 car has found something here at Richmond. You can kind of tell he's running about the same line as everybody else, and may have something to do with the braking and the throttling and when he's getting back on the throttle coming out of the corners. But that 38 car really starting to look racy coming into the final portion of this race.
In the second portion of this race, we're starting to see those comers and goers, drivers on some newer tires, drivers kind of falling back a little bit on older tires. Justin Fuller battling with Hollingsworth. Back there, you can see Hollingsworth to the outside of the 51 of Fuller as Chad Coleman moves to the inside of Adam Gilliland. Where do you watch here? Some great battles throughout as these drivers on newer tires of differing strategies moving forward here. And Adam Gilliland now has his hands completely full with the tap-out tuning number 38, Chad Coleman on the move.
Moving on up into the podium position, trying to Gilliland holding on the high side for the time being, but he's going to lose that spot to Chad Coleman. Move him up to P3. Now he sets his sights on Kevin King and Daniel Falkingham. And it's going to be real interesting. 2 powerhouses up in 1 and 2. And Chad Coleman doing a great job here. I don't think he came down pit road. We'll see if we can pull up the old pit road stint length here. And you can see there it is. In fact, Chad Coleman with 26 lap fresher tires than just about everybody in the top 10. A couple of drivers sprinkled on in, did come down under that last caution. But that right there kind of showing the hand a little bit early. Fresher tires going to make the magic happen for the 38 car.
And probably going to be at a disadvantage depending where he did take the tires. He might only have 1 more set of tires in the pits, but if this thing goes green to 150 or so, everybody's probably going to be on the same even keel, and unless you get a late race caution in this one and everybody decides to come down pit road, you'd be at a disadvantage. But I think with the track position, if this plays out the way Chad Coleman wants to, we get another 20 or 30 laps or so of green flag race, and this might play out into the hands of Chad Coleman, might play out into the hands of Jeff Hollingsworth, Josh Parker, and some of those other drivers that may have played the short pitch strategy.
And a lot of times when you get late into the season, Chad Coleman came in 16th in points. Kind of a Hail Mary play here. You come down, you know that it's going to be a struggle to try and beat the 29 and the 39 up front. So you got to kind of gamble just a little bit. And that might have just been what the doctor ordered, coming down still taking tires on the race car, still has one more set down there on pit lane, and it's just a matter of when you come down and put those tires on the race car. And I think that may very well be the move of the night. As you said, Tim, it's got kind of a long green flag field here. Don't want to jinx it, knock on wood. But these drivers still picking up laps, putting them down, working lap number 124, going to cross the stripe here, coming out of 3 and 4 from 125. So 75 laps to go here at Richmond, and it's going to come down to tires, I think.
Absolutely. At least the first 125 laps of this race have seen tire strategy be the big key here this evening. Daniel Falkingham continues to lead. Kevin King, you ride on board with Chad Coleman, who runs in position number 3 on newer tires. Adam Gilliland, Scott Stenzel in position number 5, another driver on new tires, as is Jeff Hollingsworth for Josh Parker. Then you get to Josh Williams, Justin Fuller, and Trey Edson hanging on onto the top 10 right now. About 30 drivers still remain on this racetrack as we continue to work under the green flag here at Richmond, with 75 laps to go in this second round of the Transervice Cup Series playoffs, or the second race of round number 1 in the playoffs. And some of these drivers beginning to, I'm sure, think at the end of the race about points and getting a little bit closer towards what would be one more race to go in this round to lock yourself in. And if you're Chad Coleman, you definitely got that in your mind, because you're 1 point out coming in to this evening. You want to make sure you get every point you can get.
100%. You saw in the back TV panel there of the 29 car of Kevin King. It's got his Twitch channel up there, K King style. You can actually watch him race the entire race from the cockpit of his car. He got the everything set up. A lot of the drivers in the field here on Twitch as well. Kevin Brown on Twitch, Richard Beasley on there with all the Rickies in the background, and it's really cool to see a lot of different vantage points from different drivers, their different styles and setups here with the iRacing simulation. If you're watching at home and you wanted to try this stuff out, iRacing.com. It'll cost you $13 a month, and comes with a bunch of tracks, comes with a bunch of different cars, and just like everything else, with an additional fee, you can pick up additional content, like we're seeing here, where we're seeing the Cup cars at Richmond International Speedway. So very, very cool to be able to come home from work, jump on the old simulator, and turn some laps. And be sure to check it out. Let them know that AIM-TV sent you, and well, I guess we'll see what they say.
And it looks like for your top 3 or so, a little bit of strung out single file racing, at least for the time being. I don't know if Chad Coleman's tires have peaked right now, but currently in position number 3. And he's gaining a little bit of time on Daniel Falkingham, but I think he's going to hit that wall per se, or hit that climax when it comes to the tires. But we'll see how this all continues to race, as Adam Gilliland running in position number 4, Scott Stenzel in behind. He's got those new tires up to position number 5, and we're in behind Jeff Hollingsworth, trying to make a move on Scott Stenzel. They're both in the same tire strategy, and Hollingsworth trying to break into the top 5 for the first time this evening, and looking pretty good on those fresh tires compared to the rest of the field.
Yeah, the 97 car, very impressive here at Richmond, trying to break into the top 5, as you made mention. And right behind him, Josh Parker in the 23 car. And he's got Josh Williams right in behind him with the 95 car. So Josh Parker did, in fact, come down that last caution for fresh tires and has raced his way back up to 7. You can actually take a peek there at the track map and see we got a little conveyor belt action going on here. The leader of the race, Daniel Falkingham, is position number 1 in that blue circle, crossing the stripe right now, just as the back of the pack coming out of turn 2. So I think if this thing stays green here, Tim, we're going to see a lot of drivers, or these leaders, start to catch up on the back of the pack, and we might have to see some of these guys try to maneuver some of that lap traffic.
I would be intrigued if a caution flag came out right about now, depending on what the drivers will do, and not necessarily this run, but the last run, where guys like Chad Coleman and Hollingsworth and Parker and Stenzel and some of those guys might be a little bit behind on the tire strategy, with one less set of tires in the pit area compared to some of these drivers that have only been down one time. And you can see that on the stint length when on the side of your screen as well, of who's currently on their second stint, who is on their third stint, who has done what on pit road. And Daniel Falkingham right now, same strategy as Kevin King, same strategy as a guy like Josh Williams, Fuller, Trey Edson, Pedro Mojica, EJ O'Rourke, just inside or outside of the top 10.
And you can see most of those drivers there in the top 10, top 15 even. They've only come down pit road once, and it's been 65 laps for the first run, and we're working lap number 70 of the second run. So if these drivers came down pit road now, they theoretically could make it on fuel. The tire is definitely going to be wearing out just a little bit, but you can see 42 laps into the run for Chad Coleman. And he's been on pit road quite a few times here throughout the night. I don't believe he took tires on that first pit stop, but if he did, that would put him out of tires, and that would end up having to force his hand of staying out or maybe even taking fuel only on this final pit stop. But it's definitely going to be interesting if this thing stays green, working lap number 71, 72 of this run. I think we might be coming up on green flag pit stops, and that right there kind of opens up the window for Chad Coleman. He's got another 30 or 40 laps before he would have to come down and get tires on that car if he's got any left down on pit road.
And then it would bring it to the point where those guys that have only come down pit road once this evening would have to come from behind. But where does the caution flag fly? What happens there? Like, there's some differing strategies to be played out, and I'm kind of intrigued on how this race is actually playing out. Daniel Falkingham's got a bigger lead now. Kevin King falling back, and Chad Coleman hasn't been able to make up a whole lot of time. So I don't know if this portion of the run is Daniel Falkingham pulling away and flexing his muscle, or if it's Chad Coleman, Kevin King, maybe falling off a little bit of the pace compared to the 39 of Daniel Falkingham. But we'll see how this run all plays out. But your top 10 or so, single file, and kind of saw it on that first long green flag run, Paul. They're all strung out, at least at this point.
Yeah, a little bit of conveyor belt action here, and it's always tough to tell what the strategy is at 39 at Daniel Falkingham. Fast no matter what racetrack he's on, virtually in the iRacing Sim, especially here in the Transervice Cup Series, here in the SIM500 Esports Racing League. And it's always tough to kind of tell what his strategy is. He could be hammered down, driving his heart out right now. He could be taking it easy, and maybe Kevin King and Chad Coleman, Adam Gilliland, Scott Stenzel, maybe they're just backing up a little bit to try and save that right rear tire. But it's always tough to tell. Falkingham and King always very, very quick here. And we've seen these two drivers, 1 and 2, kind of flip-flop throughout the season. I believe it's now 12 wins between those two drivers in the top 2. So definitely big-time stats in the top 2. And Chad Coleman, I believe he's got the most starts overall in Sim500. We'd have to get that cleared up. Check that out, sim500.com, all the stats up there. But Chad Coleman been around forever. He's seen a lot of drivers come and go, and he's trying to hold on to that podium spot right now. But Adam Gilliland getting a little bit closer to that back bumper.
He might have used the good up in the tires, and it looks like it may have cycled through or evened out between him and some of those other drivers. Speaking of green flag pit stops, there's Kevin Brown down on pit road. The cork has been popped on these green flag pit stops, and the Kevin Brown machine 93 down on pit road to get service. So now we'll see if Falkingham, King, some of these drivers begin to waver at all, begin to blink, and see who forces the hand of these drivers up near the front of the field as the 39 will stay out on the racetrack this time by.
And we saw this happen last week here at Richmond with the Multi-League Cup Series. Once some of the drivers mid-pack on back came down pit road, got the 4 fresh tires, they were able to drive back, get their laps back the hard way, and it really started to force the hand of the drivers up on the lead lap in the top 5 and top 10. And right now, Daniel Falkingham has quite a bit of a cushion. You can see the lead is almost 1.5 seconds over Kevin King, and then 2.5 to 2 3/4 or so seconds back to Chad Coleman. So he's got a little bit of an advantage right now, and you can see barely on the left-hand side of your screen. Now it's starting to get a little bit clearer as we kind of pan out just a little bit. Those drivers in the back of the pack getting a little bit threatened now by the leader, Richard Beasley, down on pit road. He's going to go down a lap as he gets that tide ride down for service. And that's going to leave 27 cars currently on the lead lap. Adam Gilliland going to give up a top 5 spot. Pedro Mojica giving up a top 10. They're coming down pit road for service.
So now we're going to see, and I think the second half of this kind of intriguing little battle, yes, Falkingham and Kevin King are going to be the next ones to blink, but Coleman, Stenzel, Hollingsworth, Parker, among those 5, when do they come down onto pit road? And do they stay out longer than Falkingham and King, or do they come down to this 150 mark and get on even keel, knowing that this is the final set of tires that they have in the pits? This is where the inquiring minds begin to come in as we get closer to that 50 lap to go mark.
52 laps to go as we cross the line, riding on board with Daniel Falkingham, looking out the windshield at Bobby Wetzel in the 9 car, and a handful of drivers getting ready to lose a lap. Josh Williams in a 95, he's going to come down pit road and get service. Tommy Ryan giving up the 10 spot. He's going to come down, get some tires and some Sunoco race fuel to take him on through the rest of the race here. And with Chad Coleman and Josh Parker and those drivers that stayed out, or that came down rather, that last caution to get those, or a couple of cautions ago to get tires on the car, where do you gamble? Like you said, Tim, do you stay out and hope for a caution and maybe come down and use up that track position? Or do you get yourself back on the same schedule as these leaders, Daniel Fockingham, Kevin King? Because when they come down, they get 4 fresh tires. They're going to be much quicker than the drivers that have been out there for 30 or 40 laps.
I think you want to stretch it a little bit further than some of these others and try to get that track position, because they also have another set of tires sitting in the pits. Those guys like Fockingham and King, and the guys that are already pitted like Adam Gilliland and David Comstock, Brian Macklin is the 9, and Bobby Wetzel goes a lap down here. You go about 20, 30 more laps. Maybe you get to lap 160 or 170 on this run. Obviously, Fockingham and Kevin King haven't come down pit road yet, but those other guys will have one more set of tires in the pits, and I think you come down and you use them. And if you're Chad Coleman and the likes that are on that different strategy, you come down at that point too. But 50 laps remaining in this Transervice Cup Series playoff race at Richmond. Fockingham continues to lead and has extended the lead to 2 seconds over Kevin King. Chad Coleman in third, Scott Stencil, and Jeff Hollingsworth complete your top 5 as we continue to work around here under the green flag on our longest green flag run of the evening.
And you can see just how good the tires are when you come down compared to the tires that have been out on the track for 65, 70 laps or so. Mike Kelly going to get his lap back the hard way. And you can see the number 3 of Jeff Ryan, multiple laps down, involved in a couple of incidences, lots of damage on that race car. But he's able to drive on by the leader here, almost as Daniel Fockingham standing still. Here comes Richard Beasley getting himself a little bit of TV time. He's going to race back around the leader and get one of his laps back as well.
Tries to get one more back here and work his way past the 39 of Fockingham and run away from the Lobster 207, number 39, as he stays out on the racetrack. Kevin King back there in second, the red car off the top. And then in behind them, it looks, I saw half a shot of the Goya can in behind. Jose Gonzalez is at a running with somebody and missing the front bumper cover of that number 26 car, but still plenty of time to try to make what he can up. And with him being in the championship chase, he's got to be on the racetrack and salvage everything that he can as he goes by the number 39 with fresh tires.
26 looking like a modified here as he goes around to get a lap back. Still a couple of laps down, but that 39 car still does, in fact, have to come down pit road. Looks like Kevin King in the 29 car giving up the second position. He's going to come down and get service to that machine. Is that going to force the issue for now Daniel Fockingham and some of these other drivers up in the top 5? Kevin King down on pit road.
You almost think it would have to, and I think we expect Daniel Fockingham to come in this time with the undercut. You don't want to let Kevin King go in too long as Kevin. He's coming down on the pit road now. So 1 lap on the undercut for Kevin King compared to Daniel Fockingham. Chad Coleman will go to the lead.
It's great to see the 38 tap-out tuning machine run well here at Richmond in the SIM500 Transervice Cup Series. Again, Chad's been around for a long, long time in the sim racing community, even back when Vidane Racing was a league before we became a broadcasting service here. And you can see he's going to drive by the entrance of pit road. Still has probably 20 or 30 laps that he can run on those tires. And at this point, Tim, do you gamble? Do you try and stay out at least for another 20 laps or so, maybe cut the rest of the race distance in half, or do you stay out and hope for a caution at this point?
If this thing goes green for another 20 laps or so, and I think you said he has 26 lap extra newer tires compared to those drivers that are coming down pit road in this cycle now, I think you got to stay out for an extra 15, 20 laps and hope for a caution flag, because at that point, everybody else is coming onto pit road, and they also have a set of tires that you don't put yourself on even keel and gives you the track position. So I think if you're Chad Coleman, you're kind of hoping in the next 15 laps or so up to about 170, 175, 180, and then you see a caution flag and you're sitting in the driver's seat.
And a lot of different strategies going on here. All these drivers really treading lightly as we've got about 40 laps to go here, riding on board with Chad Coleman, the current leader, trying to basically stay out of the way of the drivers that have come down pit road within the last 5 laps or so to get those fresher tires. And we see it all the way around the racetrack. Bobby Wetzel now getting ready to try and hold on to the lead lap once again. And that's the 14th place car. E.J. O'Rourke going to give up the top 10, come down pit road and get some service to that machine. But at this point, lots of different strategies going on, and you can see Kevin King, that's Joey Gattino, the number 14 car, actually closing in on the leader to try and get one of his laps back as well. And it's a lot of different strategies, a lot of different cars on different laps here, Tim, and you almost have to kind of dodge and weave throughout the traffic, whether it's quicker, slower, but depending on the strategy of these drivers.
I think the leading driver on the strategy of the two-stop or three-stop is there's Hollingsworth on the pit road. There's Fuller on the pit road. So Hollingsworth abandoning the strategy that we see with Chad Coleman, Scott Stenzel, and Josh Parker. But Adam Gilliland, last lap by was a 22:39, albeit in a little bit of traffic. Chad Coleman at a 23:36. So Chad Coleman about a second slower or so than Adam Gilliland as Daniel Falkingham goes by in the 39. Gilliland pitted a little bit earlier than Falkingham, pitted a little bit earlier than Kevin King, but a part of that strategy per se, still 15 seconds in behind, sitting in position number 8. So if I'm Chad Coleman, kind of hoping for a caution here in the next 10 to 12 laps or so and put yourself on the strategy, because at that point I think everybody comes on the pit road.
Yeah, and before those drivers came down pit road, Falkingham and King, those were the P1 and P2 drivers. They just Daniel Falkingham just drove by Chad Coleman, the leader, and there you can see Kevin Brown and Kevin King side by side, right in behind them. That's the 14th and 15th place position. Currently 1 lap down, but I don't think it's going to be for much longer. Kevin King now right in the back bumper of the leader. He's going to get that lap back, put himself on the lead lap, and at this point, Chad Coleman, there you see Kevin Brown going to dip down low as well, much quicker on those 4 tires. And it's getting closer and closer to gamble time. When do you pull the trigger? Do you come down under green flag, or do you try and keep staying out here, wait for a caution? You're going to run out of time if you stay out for too long as these drivers keep going on through the track.
Based on the time that Daniel Falkingham and Adam Gilliland are making up, I think for Chad Coleman, Scott Stenzel, you at least stay out for an extra, 10 laps or so. The 5 of Trey Edson, currently scored in position number 3, is Josh Parker, Byron Daly, complete your top 5. Adam Gilliland is in 6th. He's about 12 to 13 seconds behind Chad Coleman. So I think if I'm Chad Coleman, I got to stay out for an extra 10 laps or so, get me to at least lap 175, and then determine where the rest of the field is. And there's Brian Macklin, lights him up coming off of pit road in the Transervice number 30.
And you can see drivers all around the racetrack at this point. A lot of damaged cars as well, missing noses, missing the rear ends of these race cars. Lots of sheet metal missing off the cars. Riding on board now with Chad Coleman. You can hear the back end of the race car wanting to step on around as the tires wear more and more here. 43 laps to go here at Richmond. And that might be 33. Depends on my math. 70, 30, 32 laps to go here at Richmond in the Transervice Cup Series. And you can see Chad still holding on to the lead right now. Stenzel, Edson, Parker, and Byron Daly out front. I believe Daly is the first driver that came down 4 tires in the 5th position. And you can see Daniel Falkingham there in 7th. Kevin King just moving himself into the top 10. So those drivers that were up front that have the fresher tires coming in a hurry here as we close the laps.
Coming towards the end of the SIM500 Transervice Cup Series playoff race, Chad Coleman continues to lead. Stenzel, Edson, Parker, and Adam Gilliland has now moved back up into that top 5, past Byron Daly. See him in the back of the shot in the Valvoline number 33, now running in position number 6. Daniel Falkingham about 4 seconds behind Adam Gilliland. So I think Adam's kind of hoping this thing stays green. He can hold off Daniel Falkingham and maybe try to win this thing as Falkingham goes side by side with Joey Katina up for position.
30 laps to go. Chad Coleman still out front. Scott Stenzel, Trey Edson, Josh Parker, and Adam Gill in the top 5. And these drivers know that the laps are closing in, down, and lap traffic all the way around the racetrack. Drivers with fresh tires trying to get around the leaders to get their laps back. Currently looking at 14 drivers on the lead lap. 14th place driver, the number 37 of Elliott Henderson, having a decent run here tonight. Tommy Ryan in front of him in the 93, and Kevin Brown, we saw just a few laps ago, getting around the leader here of Chad Coleman to get back on the lead lap. And looking at the timing and scoring, looks like we still have 32 drivers that are out on track. Randy Yoakum, Doy Woods, and Mike Montesi parked it in the garage. But coming up at the final laps here, and you can see Chad Coleman still holding on here, Tim. Mike Kelly trying to get around to get one more lap back.
Yeah, they'll put Mike Kelly in the number 2 back on the lead lap. That'll put 13 drivers back. Check that, 14 drivers back in the lead lap, because Elliott Henderson just fell 1 lap down in the number 37. So we lost 1 on the lead lap and gained 1 on the lead lap with Mike Kelly trying to pull away from Chad Coleman. Still about 3 seconds back to Scott Stenzel. Stenzel doing a great job of holding on his older tires in the number 63, but he's going to have company as David Comstock goes to the inside. Trey Edson is a battle for position. So this is the battle for position number 2 is the 5. Gets almost into the back bumper. The 63 is Stenzel there.
And you can see there's a couple of different strategies in here. These drivers all down pit road on different occasions. The 63 holding on to it right now, and then Bobby Wetzel, Trey Edson side by side, almost side by side with the 26 Goya can, but the 9 of Bobby Wetzel thinks a little bit better of it. He backs up. The 26 hard down into the corner, gets himself in next to the number 5. He goes driving on by, and there you can see Doug Ross in the 43 car as well, trying to make a little magic happen in the late goings.
Coming down to the final few laps, about 24 laps to go, will be 25 laps remaining this time by for Chad Coleman as the battle for second continues to heat up. Now that those lap cars are by Stenzel, maybe Trey Edson tries to put a little more fuel on the fire and goes to the inside of the number 5, but can't seem to make that work. Josh Parker in behind them, that is her position, but they are about to be joined and or gobbled up by Adam Gilliland in the personal comfort number 81. Adam going to try to take position number 2 here in fair short order.
And a little bit further back, and well, before I thought of that line, he was further back. Daniel Falkingham there in the picture as well. Coming in a hurry, that Lobster 207 machine with 4 fresh tires trying to make up the ground. You can see he's about 7 seconds behind the leader, but that time is dropping very, very quickly, much faster on fresh tires than our leader, Chad Coleman right now. Chad trying to hold on, waiting for a caution, or hoping he can hope that these guys battle for position and take up as much time, use up their equipment, try and even everything out there. See Richard Beasley getting around Bobby's in the 9 car, moving on up there, but not on the lead lap for the number 10 of Richard Beasley.
I don't believe he is either, as the 10 will fall into line behind the 39 of Daniel Falkingham, and Falkingham will try to get up to Parker, and the next one in behind would be Kevin King, but Kevin King's about 3 seconds behind this battle as the 39 dispatches the 23 of Josh Parker and puts Falkingham back up into position number 5, Adam Gilliland. Now in a second and trying to close in on Chad Coleman about 4 seconds or so up the road is the number 38.
You gotta love the action that we see here every single Monday night here with the Transervice Cup Series brought to you by SIM500 here on Vidane TV. Tim, you see a couple of drivers coming down pit road. Trey Edson in the number 5 car, that's big, giving up the 3rd position to get his final pit stop in and out of the way. There you can see the U.S. Postal Machine down there as well. Multiple laps down, getting some of that service taken care of. Does this force the issue for Chad Coleman? Is he going to try and come down under green flag? Is he going to try and hold on? Maybe wait for potentially a caution flag to come out here, pull up that old stint length tracker that we've got. 87 laps the distance that Chad Coleman has gone. Parker, there you can see 87 laps as well. Scott Stenzel, 114 lap run for Byron Daly, who just got passed for 10th place, or 9th place rather, dropping back in a hurry. It looks like he's actually going to come down pit road. So theoretically, Chad Coleman could stay out for the rest of this distance, but how slow is that car going to be on almost 80 lap old tires?
If you're Chad Coleman, I don't want to give up the lead, knowing that Adam Gilliland's 3 seconds behind and Daniel Falkingham there too, and they may be starting to battle for position number 2 as Falkingham had the lead earlier, and now he battles side by side with Adam Gilliland for what would be the runner-up spot right now, but what could very well be, Paul, the battle for the lead and the battle for the win if they can get up to Chad Coleman. And with the way these cars are with the new tires, even with being side by side, Falkingham and Gilliland are catching Chad Coleman.
And this is exactly what Kevin King wants to see. Slides into the 4th position. He's got fresh tires. He's got a relatively clean race car. He's actually got a completely clean race car. No damage all the way around that car. He's going to close up onto the bumper of Richard Beasley and probably take him relatively quickly as they get on down into turn number 1 down to the bottom side. But you can see those drivers up there battling for 2nd and 3rd. Side by side, there's a couple of lap cars in the mix as well. Brian Macklin's up in the mix. The 37 car is there as well. And Kevin King's got he's got clean air in front of him. So 17 laps to go. I don't think we've seen the end of that 29 car.
Especially if this thing stays green, I'm interested to see what he can do. He's got fresher tires than Adam Gilliland. I believe he probably would catch the number 81 as Chad Coleman about to be under fire for the lead. He's had a great run so far, but with 15 laps to go, he's going to see the Lobster 207, number 39 of Falkingham, getting a little bit closer in the rearview mirror. He's also got Brian Macklin back there as well, but with 15 laps to go, Chad Coleman continues to lead it. Even if this thing doesn't cycle through a whole lot, he's still guaranteed a top 5 run if he can keep the tires underneath him and keep the car underneath him. I think that's a win considering where he started this evening in 23rd.
Yeah, needs a good run here tonight. We heard Kevin England earlier on tonight. He can't have a mediocre run. He needs to have a good run or very possibly a win, but you can see the distance now, half a second. Daniel Falkingham very, very quickly coming up to the leader. That's the next car in behind him is the second place driver of Falkingham. He's going to shoot on by him like he's a SpaceX rocket, loading a rocket with the space fuel and blasting off into parts unknown. And this is the point where Chad Coleman screaming out the windshield, throwing water bottles, throwing foam pieces outside from the race car, trying to get the race officials to throw a caution here with 13 laps to go, but I don't think he's going to get it as Daniel Falkingham dips down low to that yellow line, moves that 39 Lobster 207 machine back up to the front.
And now the question is, when does Adam Gilliland catch Chad Coleman? And I think that answer is going to be given to us in just a couple of short laps, as Daniel Falkingham will now lead with 13 laps to go, and Adam Gilliland is closing in. Kevin King is closing in too, but I think it's going to be a little too late for the number 29 car as he sits in position number 4. And Parker, with the same strategy, was he stenciling Coleman sitting in position number 5. But Adam Gilliland is going to be the one that is on the move here in just a few moments, as he has the 38 of Chad Coleman in his tire tracks.
And there you can see he's going to try and get up to the back bumper. There he is, and he's going to look on the outside. And we heard Falkingham earlier on in the race. That outside line will definitely work, but it's going to chew those tires up. And at this point, with 11 laps to go, I think the only one that's worried about chewing their tires up is going to be Chad Coleman, maybe Josh Parker there in 5th place, working on almost 95 laps now on that same set of tires, and hoping for a late race caution to potentially get everybody down on pit road at the same time. 2 tires, maybe 4 tires, but it doesn't look likely. A little bit of conveyor belt action all the way around the racetrack. A little bit of a wiggle there for the 81, but holds on to it. But still a great run for Chad Coleman. You can see Joey Gattina now going down low, not for position. Joey Gattina trying to get one of his laps back the hard way. But man, oh man, what a gamble for that 38 car.
Yeah, interested the way this race is played out. The 29 of Kevin King is next up on the list for Chad Coleman on the backward list, per se, as the 29 gets a great run at a corner number 2 and just grips so much. Those tires have so much grip compared to the 38 of Chad Coleman. Coleman just he can't get that power down and can't get the launch that Kevin King can, as he'll try one more time here at a corner number 4 and go to the outside with 8 laps to go. This is the battle for the final podium position, and Kevin King looks to have the J Concepts number 29 hooked up for at least position number 3 as the tap out tuning. Number 38 of Coleman tries to hold on, puts up a valiant effort, but Kevin King will work the outside, and the 29 will move to position number 3. The question is, can he catch Adam Gilliland for second before this thing is all over in 7 laps?
Picking him up and putting him down. Kevin King moving into the podium position. Chad Coleman still holding on to 4th. And like you said, Tim, if this thing stays green, it's definitely going to be a top 5 run there for Chad Coleman, which is exactly what he needed to keep his playoff hopes alive, coming in here 16th in the playoff points after last week. So he still has an opportunity to kind of move up the board just a little bit, but we made mention earlier on the cream always rising to the top here in the Transervice Cup Series. A lot of those yellow banners up within the top 15, so it's going to be interesting to see what the points look like after this race here tonight at Richmond.
Yeah, everybody except Byron Daly, when it comes to the championship drivers, are in the top 19 right now. So there's only 3 drivers up there. Jeff Hollingsworth, Pedro Mojica, and Scott Stenzel in the top 19 that are not in the playoffs. That shows how strong this Transervice Cup Series playoff field is, as these drivers, some of them, as you can see off that speed shot, just trying to hang on to the end, trying to get themselves to the checker flag in this event. Some of them are just hoping for that maybe a quick stint for everybody to come down pit road. But if you're Daniel Falkingham, you're hoping this thing stays green. If you're Kevin King, you've got to get up on the wheel to try to catch that number 81 of Adam Gilliland. You got some lap traffic in between with Joey Gattina, but you're running out of time. This time by across the stripe, Daniel Falkingham will have 3 laps to go.
And even with all the strategies out on track now, there you see Daniel Falkingham coming up on the back bumper of the 96 car to put him another lap down there. Gerald Livingston holding on to that spot back in 31st position and gets up around, loses one more lap. But at this point, lots of cars throughout the racetrack. Daniel Falkingham, this is very nerve-wracking because you know there's a lot of different cars that are on different strategies as we get popsicle sticks from Barney up in the flag stand. 2 laps to go. Daniel Falkingham about 2.5 seconds over Adam Gilliland in second.
And running out of laps, if you're Adam Gilliland, Kevin King, and the rest of the field, Daniel Falkingham once again for a second consecutive race, has put up a valiant effort and has established himself as the driver to beat in the Transervice Cup Series playoffs. Final lap for the 39 of Daniel Falkingham, trying to win his second consecutive race in this Transervice Cup Series and block another driver from locking themselves in to round number 2 of the playoffs. Final time down the back straightaway. The first rate bait Lobster 207, number 39, will come through 3 and 4, and he will handily go to victory lane. He wins at Richmond Raceway in round number 2, or race number 2 of the Transervice Cup Series playoffs. Kevin King finishes in third behind Adam Gilliland. Couldn't catch him at the end for that runner-up position. Chad Coleman and Josh Williams will finish in position number 5. Fuller, Mojica, Ryan, Parker, and Stenzel. Stenzel tried to get that strategy to work. Could not get it to do so. Will finish in position number 10. But Paul, Daniel Falkingham one more time, becoming a winner in this Transervice Cup Series. And he was already locked in to round number 2 of the playoffs last week. Now he's going to, do it again, per se, and get that other win and prevent somebody from going to the playoffs.
100% burning them down there on the front straightaway. That number 39 car going to be the car to beat here in the championship playoffs throughout the rest of the races. And you made mention Adam Gill and Kevin King, Chad Coleman, Josh Williams, the top 5, Justin Fuller in 6, Pedro Mojica, Tommy Ryan, Josh Parker, and Scott Stenzel rounding out the top 10. And you can see the rest of the finishing order on your screen there. Relatively clean race here at Richmond. A couple of the fast drivers knowing exactly what they needed to do to get the job done, and Daniel Falkingham making his way up to the front. But you really got to give a call to Chad Coleman finishing here in P4. That's a tough thing to do when you see you've got faster drivers coming up behind you on fresher tires. Held on to it to a top 5, and I think that's going to be enough to maybe hold on to a spot for next round, especially with Daniel Falkingham here winning the first 2 races of this round. So I got a feeling we might see Chad Coleman move on round in the round number 2.
Byron Daly didn't have the run he anticipated. He is 21st here this evening, and he will lose a few points. But a driver that didn't lose anything, Daniel Falkingham, going to victory lane. Daniel, were you concerned at all with the way this race was playing out with the strategy of Chad Coleman and the likes?
Yeah, I thought for sure if they could make it all the way on fuel, I thought for sure they would have the benefit of maybe winning the race, because I thought the tires were going to even out where they could just run a consistent pace and they could hold strong and maybe get up there. But I was surprised, though, I was able to run them down like I did, and thankfully I wasn't sure. Really, the race was between me and Adam once I realized we were going to catch Coleman in them, because I figured Adam was going to keep me behind him, because with just how the outside lane is so OP here now with all the changes they made. Even on 10-lap older tires, I feel like he was still going to hold me up. But thankfully, I waited just that long enough, and I had enough time to catch him in order to be able to just pass him on the bottom. And we got around him because I figured the outside lane was going to hold me off. So awesome win. We see the sweep at Richmond, third win in a row here. So it's really turning into one of my good places. So I can't believe we've gone swept the first 2 rounds of the playoffs. That's really cool.
What's Richard Beasley telling you?
I don't know. I guess he's showing me how good his just showing me his 22nd place finish, it looks like. And yeah. So yeah, just hoping to be like me someday, I guess.
You mentioned the sweep of Richmond, obviously 2 wins in the playoffs, and the playoffs are 2 rounds old. So what kind of statement does this send for the rest of this Transervice Cup Series field going into the upcoming rounds of the playoffs?
Hopefully it sends a big message, that's for sure. I mean, I knew we've had I have a lot of good tracks in the playoffs, but I also did not expect to go back-to-back to sweep the first 2 rounds. Hopefully we can sweep the round of 16 next week. We won the playoff Bristol race last year, so hopefully we can do it again. But hopefully just keep on winning, and hopefully try and put some other people in some tough spots and stuff. So definitely probably going to be the only one that's going to have a fun race next week. So yeah, definitely going to be a good show next week, that's for sure.
Who's on this race car? Who do you want to thank for the win tonight?
Yeah, as always, First Rate Bay, Laps 207, for all their support. Also got to thank you guys for putting on the broadcast. You guys have great broadcasts. This was a really good race to watch tonight, so definitely going to go back and watch that one tomorrow. I got to thank Joey and everyone, all the admins at SIM500 who run the show. Thank Transervice for all they do for this series. Thank everyone at Team Name, Chad Coleman, David Comstock, Richard Beasley, Josh Parker, Byron Daly, Pedro Mojica, Doy Woods, Kevin Brown. We had the whole crew here tonight, so thankful for all those guys. Got to thank just thank all the fans who watch it each and every week. Thanks to everyone who comes to race each and every week, make these races a blast. And also got to thank a lot of my friends and family for watching as well.
That's Daniel Falkingham, a winner for a second consecutive race in the Transervice Cup Series playoffs, and he is locked into the round of 12. And Paul, a driver that got himself a little bit closer to doing the same thing, Adam Gilliland is second place. You caught up with him.
Down here on pit road with the old Giller, Adam Gillen, number 81 car. Great run here tonight and coming home on the podium, second place, man. Talk to us about that race.
It was pretty straightforward. Didn't qualify the best, and with this dirty air, that's definitely going to set you back. I think whoever got the lead there. Obviously, we had a green flag pit stop, and Daniel did a great job. But whoever got the lead, was going to check out. It's just this service right now is it's really tough to run behind people and do anything because the dirty air just kills your tires, and you have no front tires. Really happy to pad the points cushion going into Bristol. Obviously, a lot can happen there. But, I think iRacing, they might look into adding DRS or something. We got to be able to do something to put some passes on because it's single file, boring racing out there, and it's not a lot of fun to be a part of, to be honest.
Yeah, we've heard a lot of drivers talk about the iRacing build coming out last week. A lot of the leagues here on Verdane TV struggling with the handling of these Cup cars. So it's definitely something to work on and something to keep in mind, especially heading on to another short track next week in Bristol. You made mention. What do you got for them? We're the last great Coliseum next week. You got anything for them next Monday night?
I sure hope so. I haven't ran Bristol with the new update, but from what I've heard, it's really gripped up. So that kind of ties back into what I was talking about. It's going to be kind of hard to pass, especially if we have a lot of on throttle time. Don't want to keep beating a dead horse, but it's just what we're dealing with right now, unfortunately. Like I mentioned, also, it's kind of going to be a little bit of a wild card. You can just as easily get swept up in a wreck or there as anywhere else. But it is what it is. Hopefully we can come out of there with a win because I haven't looked at the points, but unless we finish dead last, I think we should be pretty good to go, and we need to get some bonus points going in the next round.
Absolutely, and a great run here tonight, finishing P2 at Richmond. I want to give you the opportunity to thank friends, family, sponsors, teammate, whoever makes it happen for the virtual 81 car. The microphone's all yours.
Yep, thanks, Paul. As always, I got to thank Scott Stencil and Personal Comfort supporting us all year. Gary Mercer Trucking, Brennan Mercer for all the support over the years. Kevin, Daniel, Dylan, everyone over at the team. We got a Road to Pro race coming up on Thursday, hopefully. Dylan and Daniel can have a good run. And last but not least, you guys at Verdane, Paul, Tim, everyone for putting this on every week.
Absolutely. Great run here tonight. Congratulations on second place. And Tim, you've caught up with another familiar driver with the podium finishes here in the SIM500 Transervice Cup Series, Kevin King, finishing third.
Yeah, Kevin, Adam was talking about the package and what happened here the last week or so with the new build. Want to ask you about the pit stop with Daniel Falkingham being able to leapfrog you to the lead. How pivotal was that in the grand scheme of things, especially with that long green flag run playing out afterwards?
I think it was everything. I was feeling really good leading that thing. I looked at my tires after that long green flag run, and it was only 2% more right rear, and I was not even really going that hard. So it was unfortunate, and I think when he hit me in pit lane, it kind of slowed me up a little bit and closed the gap between us. And then he obviously had a better pit stop, and that was pretty much it. So I knew it was going to be really tough after that, just because with the aero and the way he mirror drives a little bit and keeps people behind him, goes hard enough just to keep people behind him. So it was going to be tough, and saving tires wasn't going to really do anything. So I tried to pit a little earlier, and then I came out right behind Byron, who was like on 800 lap old tires, it seemed like, and I just lost a ton of time, and that was pretty much it. And then, of course, Adam short pit again, like he did last time, and ran out of tires again. So went from really doing well to finishing third, but it's better than last week where I got wrecked, so I'll take it.
And finishing in third, and I know this playoff system that we have, everybody is so on top of each other with this Transervice Cup Series. How much point watching are you doing going into Bristol?
0. I don't point watch anything. I just go out there and try to finish as good as I can. I don't really look at that points. I think I looked at them today to see where I was at, and I noticed I was kind of middle of the top people that are locked in. But I really don't look at points. I feel like, I have good enough speed and consistency to not have to worry about finishing well. I just need to, do so. So, not a big thing for me to look at.
Race here at Bristol back in the regular season was a little bit rough, to say the least. What do we anticipate, or what do you anticipate with the new build and it being Bristol, playoff implications on the line? What are you thinking we're going to see next Monday?
You know what? I'll be completely honest with you. I don't like that track. I've never liked how it drove on this thing. So I couldn't tell you. I would imagine it's going to be really hard to pass. I'm sure the Arrow is going to be even more fun, and whatever update they probably did to the thing this season or this last update, we'll see what happens. But it's just going to be. If I were to guess, just based on how typical iRacing things go in short tracks, it's going to be qualify well and do that. Train type of situation until you have to pit, and then from there it's just like rolling the dice and see who gets a better pit stop or does tire gamble or whatever. So we'll see. I just want to get out of there and hopefully not wreck again. But if I do, hopefully it's spectacular.
Sponsors and crew, who's on this 29 car?
Tim the Toolman Terry, always on the quarter panels. J Concepts, the team. I know they have a race this week that I know I haven't practiced for because again I hate Bristol, but Team Associated, Stick and One, you guys for putting it on. And it was a good race. It was, again, frustrating, but overall, at the end of the day, I love to win every single one of them, but I got to get what I can, and that's what the third was. So we'll do it. And
how good is it to be back in the 29 in this series?
It's pretty good. Two of the leagues that I run, they both said the last one I was like 29, which is it's lame. They said 29 is available, and then literally the day after, Joey said, hey, the 29 is available. So it's good just because that's what I've been driving forever. Although 88 is pretty cool too, but I'm definitely happy to be the 29. More of what I'm known for, I guess.
And it's a third place effort tonight on this 29 team. Congratulations. We'll see you next week.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
As Kevin King, third place effort tonight. Paul, I know he wanted a little bit more, but with the way this played out, green flag at the end. Dirty Air came into play. The package came into play, but at the end of the day, it's still familiar faces in Daniel Falkingham, Adam Gilliland, and Kevin King up in front. Next week is Bristol. What else do we have coming up on Verdane?
Yeah, I'm going to take a quick peek here at the schedule. Kevin King said he didn't want to look at the points, but I'm looking at the points right now. Daniel Falkingham obviously moving on to the next round with 2 wins in a row, and another awesome stat there for the number 39 team. 24 starts this season, 17 top 5s with 7 wins. So Falkingham definitely a contender here. Adam Gilliland, Josh Williams, Kevin King in 4th. Justin Fuller moves up into the 5th position after tonight. Josh Parker, Byron Daly, Trey Edson, Jad Coleman moves up to 9th. Brian Macklin in 10th. Jose Gonzalez and Kevin Brown in the top 12. Tommy Ryan, David Comstock, EJ O'Rourke, and Mike Kelly have a little bit of work to do next week at Bristol. So that's going to be next Monday night. But before we get there, Thursday, tomorrow night we're off. We got a little Taco Tuesday action going on, so you know where this guy's going to be. Wednesday night, the doubleheader, Tim's Corner Motorsports brings us Tim's Corner Live. And right after that, the iRacing Loose Lugs Cup Series kicking off their race at 9:05 p.m. Eastern Time. Thursday night, Multi-League Cup Series back for another race in their championship playoff. And there you can see the NEP iRacing Shift Marketing and Design Grand National Series logo. They're going to be kicking things off in less than a month. They're kicking off their first race at Daytona on October 5th. Going to be a big-time race coming up. We got a lot of Tim's Corner Motorsports racing coming back here, working on ironing out the schedule for that. And the rest of the schedule here for the fall and winter months coming up here as the real racing local track starts to kind of come to a close. The winter months coming in. But things are really going to get heated up here on Verdane TV. October, lots of races coming up. I think we're back to 4 or 5 racing nights each and every week in the month of October. November is going to be a busy month. We've got a big race coming up. We've got the TCM 300 is coming up. We've got the Bottle Rocket 350, which is going to be a fun race Verdane TV is putting on in conjunction with the Liberty Racing League, and lots of cool stuff coming up. So be sure to check out all of the social media outlets, the Facebook, the Twitter, the YouTube, and heck, I'm even over on TikTok now, Strictly 94, if you want to, well, watch me sit around and drink beer, because that's pretty much all I post. But lots of action coming up here on Vidane TV, but the action here at Richmond has subsided, and Daniel Falkingham coming home with another victory here tonight, moving on into Bristol next week. Going to be one heck of a race, 200 laps at the last great Coliseum. But that's going to do it here for us tonight. For everybody at Vidane TV, myself, Showtime, Paul Strickland Jr., Tim Terry, and Kevin England, who had to dip out for a little bit of a power outage. It seems like everything's going okay over there, but the power should be back on for next Monday night. So Kevin King going to take this chair back and call the action for the Transervice Cup Series here in the SIM500 Esports Racing League. But that's going to do it here for tonight, Transervice Cup Series for SIM500, and everybody here in the driver. Thank you so much for tuning in on the YouTube, on the Facebook, on the Twitch, all the different ways you can watch here on Vidane TV. We will catch you on the flip side when we do. We're going to be doing it live.